Welcome to Captive Conversations. I'm your host, Adam from Captive Wi-Fi. Join us as we dive into behind-the-scenes stories of hospitality leaders, exploring tech, operations, and marketing through the eyes of the experts. Let's get the inside scoop together. Okay, hi everyone. We are episode 12, Captive Conversations. Today I have the absolute pleasure of having Christian from Tenzo, co-founder.
Yep, yeah. That's right.
And CEO?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, great.
You got it right.
Sorry, just checking. Co-founder and CEO, if you can wave to everyone who sees, because some people do look at the video, and you can do a virtual wave as well to everyone. So Christian and I have known each other for a very long time.
Very, very long time.
Yeah.
We're talking about your office in Charlotte Street, which was at least 7 years ago.
A long time ago. So. Yeah, that was a long time ago. I remember talking to you about software installed on POS to pull out data.
Yes.
And we had co-clients, and you were like, Adam, the application's running. Can you just restart it for us?
Yes.
Because we're not pulling any data. So that was a long time ago.
It was a long time.
So, okay. So, Christian from Tenzo, we'll do some links for you about, the everything and the software at the end, and we'll talk through it. But we start with questions. So, questions from the last guest. That was Lawrence from Piggy from the Netherlands. He also happens to be a DJ. So his first question is, if you were in a stadium with 20,000 people and you want to get them all jacked up, what is the first track you would play?
So it's one you will definitely not have heard of, and probably none of your listeners do, because I'm originally French, so obviously I'm going to say I would be doing Zazie, Rue de la Paix, and I think you should play. I mean, I don't know if you can play it now.
I can't play now, but I will. I'll add it in. So if you just do a little wave at the camera, what I'll do is I'll do a little snippet while you're waiting.
Shouldn't we just press this button?
And that's the wrong one. You want this one?
I want that one. Press it.
You want this? You want that one?
But you want that?
Yeah. So I'll add it in before or underneath. Okay. So we will put her in the show notes so everyone can have a little listen. And then the second question, because he's hilarious. What do you truly think about people from the Netherlands and Dutch people? I don't know. So he didn't really research on the questions that he thought of, but
what do you... I think it's some fun questions. I think there's a couple things. The first thing, strange food. I must say, strange food, like chips with mayonnaise. Really,
that's amazing.
No. And the cheese, I don't know. But generally I think about bikes and food and another thing, engineering. Those guys are like on it.
Okay.
I think. So there's this book I read recently. You should really read this book. It's about like semiconductors and like their whole history of like coming, from the 50s to today.
You did a deep dive, didn't you?
Yeah, it was very interesting. There's one country in the world, there's one company in the world that can make the machines that actually can make the microprocessors, and they're produced by Dutch people.
Ah.
And each one of these machines, $100 million.
I thought there was another one in Taiwan as well.
So they actually produce it. They use those machines to produce it, but they're these ultraviolet machines that print the transistors on the silicon. The actual people who make that is the Dutch, and they're the only people in the world that can make it. So
we love the Dutch people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Freaking
Fair
geniuses.
Enough. Okay, on to the main questions. So we'll go from here. So, best hospitality experience could be anything.
The Paloma.
Yeah.
You know the Paloma?
Yeah, of course.
That's my wife and I's favorite restaurant. Have you eaten there at the bar?
Yes.
I just love it at the bar where they're cooking in front, everything in front of you.
It's a theatre, right?
Yeah, and you're having a shot with them. The team are like getting into it, and it's just fantastic. And the food is
it's next level.
Spectacular.
Yeah, so shout out to the Palomar and the whole group, even the Barbary and the Blue Post. I mean, all of them, all of them are amazing. Neil's Yard is fantastic. But I agree with you on that one. That's awesome. Best hospitality tech. You're not allowed to say Tenzo. Sorry.
How could I not say that? Of course. I think this one's hard. Often customers ask me a question like this. They say, what's the best POS?
Yeah.
Tell me what's the best POS. And then they'll go on, and what's the best labor tool? And what's the best inventory tool? And every time I'm kind of like, listen, the industry is so varied. You've got table service, you've got coffee shops, pubs, you've got quick service. Like, I don't think there is actually one solution that works for all of them. What I will say is that all of them, you need to make sure that you can, if they've got open API, so you can get it out.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to give you like, hey, there's one that's the best, but a trait for one that is the best is ones that like have an open API and an open, like they look at the world in an open way on that front. That's what
I think that's really important. I think there's still some that aren't, right? There's still quite a few out there that are gated.
It's changing, though.
Yeah.
It's changing
Massively.
very rapidly.
Yeah. When they need to.
Yeah.
So, interesting. Okay. Yeah, no, I agree with you, because if they're open, then you can plug it into them. So we'll leave that later. Okay, so we're going to go back in time a little bit, really, to your route into hospitality, because we'll talk about tech in a bit, but I'm a little bit upset that what you're about to say isn't here anymore, because it was my staple, to be fair. But let's talk about where it started. Before Tenzo was a dream.
Back in the day. Yeah. So so you're referring to Hummus Brothers.
Well, was there before?
Was there before?
What was before Hummus Brothers?
So Ronan and I studied computer science at uni together. And whenever Ronan was from Israel. Yeah. And so whenever we'd meet up, we'd eat hummus with everything and anything that was in the fridge. And, we did 2 years computer science and switched to economics. And then when we came to the end of that, we're like, we've been studying a lot. Well, the change from computer science to economics was like crazy. And that year we studied a lot together. So we ate a ton of hummus.
Good brain food.
That's freaking great. And it's the perfect student food. It's just in the fridge. You could take it out. You don't need to do anything. You serve it up and it tastes great. And it's very, very inexpensive. Mm-hmm. So it's like just perfect.
Good protein too.
Oh, freaking great protein. Mm-hmm. That's low glycemic index. I mean, it's the food of the future, right?
Are you listening, everyone? Yeah.
There was a movie where they talked about it being the food of the future.
Did they?
It was a Tom Cruise movie. I can't remember what that movie is. But anyway,
I'll find it.
You'll find it. Put that one in the show notes, please.
I will.
And we started debating. We should set our business up. And most people who thought, they both studied computer science, they'll set up a tech business.
It's the best way.
It was the obvious thing that would be done. But we're like, no. All our friends love hummus. We're setting up a hummusia, as they know them in Israel. So hummus served as a base with different toppings. We started with markets around London. So we the old Truman Brewery. Yeah. So we had a stall there. We did it in the Hampstead Market also, and we did a bunch of markets around London just to see. We thought,
test the water.
Legs, test the waters, and made a lot of mistakes at that point. We're like, with the first one we did, we gave everything away for free because we were like, well, we'll take it. Yeah, and we're like, this is amazing. We just got everything disappeared in half an hour. You gave it away for free, obviously. The second time we came and we said, you know what? We think we're going to call the different types of hummus by colors. So we had brown hummus and red hummus, and people were like, brown hummus?
That sounds wrong.
Horrible. It was hummus with the fava beans.
Yeah.
Anyway, we did that, and we really got a following from that. And then we opened our first site on Wardour Street in Soho.
I remember.
Which was a freaking fantastic site, and really good site. And really from there...
To be fair, the footfall on Wardour Street.
It's like breakfast, lunch, dinner, weekday, weekend... midnight, it's 24/7.
Oh, did you stay open super late for people coming out of partying?
Yeah, we did. Well, we tried to get a license for it, but we were stayed till 11 p.m. But you got quite a few already that more late night. But we couldn't get till 3 a.m., which is at one point we really wanted to try to get that. That would be, you'd print money there. And so we did 6 other locations, Holborn and a bunch of other, and then we started doing pop-ups in lots of corporate canteens like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, all that. We did about 500-600 a year. Wow. Yeah, it was crazy. Well,
because back then probably the proposition of food wasn't so great, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the canteen food was this was their way of getting something new to come in, right? Something exciting. And then ultimately our goal was to get hummus in supermarkets, because even till today, I still think the hummus you buy in supermarkets is god awful. It's freaking horrible. And most people who'd walk into Hummus Brothers, they'd be like, two people would walk in. One would be excited like you, oh, it's so good. And they'd bring a friend who was like, I hate hummus. And we'd get them to taste it and say, this is not hummus. And I was like, no, what you eat at home is not hummus. This is proper hummus. But so that was the whole journey on to get to Hummus Brothers and into the industry.
And then what happened?
And then what happened? So then
sorry, let's talk about tech stack. What did you have back then?
Oh, tech stack. So
what did you choose? What did you start with? And then what did you go through? Paper down? Or?
So we built our own POS to start.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that. What was it called? Hummus Pos.
Hummus Pos.
I love that.
Built our own POS. We built our own labor tool. We built our own inventory tool, tracking purchases, recipes, everything. Wow. Yeah, it was crazy. All in the cloud. This was 2003, 2005. So we built a lot. We couldn't find the solutions we wanted on the market, honestly. And then at one point, managing your own POS is pretty. And we had this crazy idea that because the menu was pretty simple.
Yeah.
That you didn't have touch screens so much at that time. So you had to remember the code for each dish.
Love that.
And if you were doing this regularly, you'd remember. I still remember the small chickpea was 101, right? So you'd just be but obviously waiters and waitresses who were training, they're like, what do you mean I need to? And so they'd be looking down this list.
Yeah, it's like the Chinese takeaway list, right?
Yes, exactly. It was a little bit like that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And so we moved to Lightspeed, which was great. Really happy. The
first iteration of Lightspeed.
Yeah, the first iteration.
Yeah.
But this was, I think, Lightspeed L.
Yeah.
What they call L now, Lightspeed L. Lightspeed. We still use our own labor and inventory tool. And effectively we built a in-house version of Tenzo. Also, just bring all this data together, trying to but a lot of it was still very manual, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have a big enough team to really be able to build it.
But you were doing it yourself, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Ron and I both had studied computer science, so we were just
let's code it out.
Let's code it out.
Yeah.
Right? Can't find what we need. Let's code it out.
Love that. You're not allowed to touch coding anymore, are you?
Not so much.
Christian, what did you do? You broke everything.
Exactly. That's
So then let's continue on, because then you got your Adam, right?
Yeah. So Adam, Ronan, and I studied computer science at uni. So set up Hummus Brothers with Ronan, and Adam and I. So Adam, after uni, he had a much more reasonable career path, right?
Yeah.
He became a software developer at a gaming studio.
Oh, awesome.
Freaking awesome. And then he did an MBA, and then he ended up at McKinsey.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So
not into food, then into hospitality.
No, he brings the data. So really, it's my hospitality experience, his data experience, or analytics experience, and then our combined computer science experience that really brought this all together. So, Adam, super smart. I was seeing this problem that basically the thing that would drive me absolutely insane was that every freaking month it felt like I was this month is looking good.
Yeah.
Our cost of labor is going to be on 25%. Cost of goods sold is going to be on 30%. The month is looking good. We feel good. All the numbers would get pulled at the end of the month. They'd prepare the reports, and then you'd look at it and be like, what the hell? 32% cost of labor, 35% on cost of goods sold. Basically, our margin's gone, and it kind of felt like rinse and repeat that constantly. And it was just, we always felt a step behind.
So you were sort of just surviving, I guess.
Just surviving, exactly. Complete just survival, day in, day out. And we were trying lots of things, right? It was putting all these reports together and sending out to the team, because really I could see when I was in the branch, or when someone who had the time to look at all the data and understand what's going, I'd walk in and I'd say, team, today is a nice day. We're going to push our mint and ginger lemonade. The most popular drink there was refreshing. It was 90% margin. And if you sold that to 70% of the people who walked in, you would have a profitable day. If you didn't, you wouldn't.
It's like fries with McDonald's, right?
Exactly, right? And but the problem is that the team, the GMs in the restaurant, they couldn't see the data to know, have I done well or not? So they were navigating in the dark. And you needed that data in real time, both on sales, on labor, on inventory, so that they could change it and tweak that equation. Your equation you're solving is really sales minus labor minus inventory. And you're maximizing that every single day. And if you maximize it every day, you run a very profitable, successful business. And if you don't, you don't. You go out of business. And that's the bit that I was struggling completely to do. And that's really what gave. So I was speaking to Adam, and at the beginning, we're like, you know what we should do? We should build a POS. And I was like, freaking terrible idea. There's freaking 500 of them out there.
So you say that. I had Stephen Rolfe from CEO of Curve, in last week, and he said, he was like, we came out after uni, we're sitting together. I did some work here, work there, and then we're all sitting in the pub, and we're like, what should we do? And he goes, back up a fact packet, right, create a POS company. And then they did. They created a POS. But you're right, back then this was way before what you created. But yeah.
Stephen's been around a bit longer than I am.
yeah.
But this is not a knock on any of the POSs. I think, and there's some great products out there, right? Like Lightspeed, Toast, Thistle, and a bunch of others. And so we were looking at that, and we're like, it was really from the angle of the data. We were looking at like, maybe what we could do is actually get people to use this POS, and then it could give them insights on like how they could upsell. And then really, as we were talking more about it, we realized like it's about the whole equation. It's not just about sales. Sales on its own, yeah, of course you can do a lot of that.
It's great to see a report, but it doesn't really show you the truth.
Exactly. And you could be having a great sales day, but if you've got so much labor to deliver that, or you've wasted a ton of food because you're wanting to make sure you've got every single dish on that business is not going to survive, right? So it's really about getting those three that gives you that view that makes you be successful at the end of the day. So that's really why we set up Tenzo.
Okay. And then rolling out yourself, obviously. So this has been way before customers. This is just like pulling it in your data. What did you see? Like, what was the performance of pulling it into your business and seeing the change? Because obviously, if you did it and you're like, oh, let's do it, we're going to put it together, this is great, and then nothing really changes, you'd be in a different path right now. You'd have 50 Hummus Brothers and be sitting on top of a big different empire. But I mean, what was the change? What did you see? Like when you started to pull that all together, you were able to see exact change. Like, so S4 Labor, they've got pubs, right?
Yeah.
So they can put changes in, they can see how it's going, test it to them. You had how many sites did you have?
Six
sites,
and the 500 pop-ups.
Yeah. So, what was the change with? Did you see? Was it like a massive change, or was it like obviously you were tweaking bits and bobs, but how did that work?
Yeah. So at the beginning, you've always got like we had this vision, and we were like starting to build it up, and if you think about the last 7 years, how far and we can talk about everything we've built, but things that you change straight away is. There's kind of two fundamental changes. There was the change at head office, if you want, right? So the people who own the business, the people who the ops directors, the finance directors, who really, so that team could start seeing without having to wait a week, a month, what those numbers were in real time, right? And being able to like understand, okay, what happened yesterday and what do I have to do today? And it's interesting we work with a lot of London-based restaurants now, but like if you spoke to Safa, who's the ops director at Bleecker, she says, now I wake up and I have the data in Tenzo. I know exactly what happened yesterday and I know what I need to do today. So you've got at the top like a change completely in outlook of being completely reactive and being like, well, that's too late, I can't do anything. And you're talking to the team historically and saying, hey, this is what we should have done last month. They're like, oh, that's great that we should have done that last month, but now it's too late. And because the turnover of staff in the industry is pretty high, by the time you get them to a good place, they might have moved on, and therefore it's hard to do that loop. So there's that massive change that we saw at the head office, but also it's the GMs, right? Suddenly they're and we bonused our GMs based on their performance. So suddenly they were like, I don't have to wait and pray and think, oh, I'm probably going to get my bonus. I feel like I'm doing everything right. They could actually see daily and be like, okay. And so this
was back then as well.
Yeah.
So you literally they could see daily what was happening.
Our integration with Lightspeed was real time.
Yeah.
So you could see during the day, boom.
Wow.
This is what's happening, right? And being able to then see that. Instead of waiting for the end of the month, but waiting, seeing during the day and at the end of the week and at the end of the month and seeing that build up just meant that they could like say, okay, I can influence my bonus now, which before I couldn't ever, right? I was just hoping that I was influencing my bonus.
Oh, interesting. So then you can put targets in place, right?
So it's really about making it all actionable at the end of the day, because like you've got your four walls, and people are going to walk in, and you've got to capture as many sales as you can. So you need to know, like, what's the best way I can upsell, and what should I do, and are we upselling? Is everyone asking the question, right? Of like, hey, would you like a drink with that? Or would you like all the right question, right? And then am I deploying staff, and am I making sure that from a menu perspective, I've got the right ingredients in, right? So it's really getting that whole, helping them understand, instead of what we used to do at Hummus Brothers pre this was just you copy last week's rota, last week's ordering plan, and you're just like, we're doing the same thing as last week. And that's why you couldn't see that change fast enough, because it would take forever to like...
I guess there's lots of operators that still do that, right?
Yeah.
With new people starting out, is that template of this works here, let's put it here.
Yep.
Obviously, there's better technologies out there now that give you more info. So,
quick favour here. I'm just taking a quick break on the podcast just to say I would really appreciate if you can click the like or subscribe button. That helps us grow. We're very new, and I would really appreciate it. And on with the show.
So I'm looking at my questions. You're powering through, which is great.
I'm going to have a sit while you do.
Yes, you can. So then what happened with adding additional stuff in? Because you've had the, like, you've had, I'll do it basically, but you've had the bit where you're open from X time to X time. You're making X amount of sales, but you're only making sales during this time. When did you add in the little plugin that basically said you shouldn't really have X amount of staff between this amount of time? Because that's the piece that I quite like with the whole... Right, so you've got, you're open from 10 until 7, but you're only really making money from 11 until 2. When did that little piece pop in?
So I'll talk a little bit about the evolution of everything we've added and where we are today. So initially we started with your sales and your reviews, right? So from the POS, and then reviews, TripAdvisor, Yelp, Facebook, and Google. And obviously reviews are important to look at, because if you're getting negative reviews, people see it online and then they're not coming. So there's actually a piece of research that showed that you add half a star to Yelp or Google and it was a 9% boost in your revenue, right? Wow. So things like that. Then we added in labor. So being able to pull in labor data, inventory. So connect to inventory tool, pull in like actual versus theoretical purchases, all that. Then what we added on is the ability to predict future sales using AI. So what we do is we take your historical sales, weather, events.
So back then it was just a very clever bit of machine learning, you call it AI, but it was just a very clever database with some very clever tools to learning
some machine learning.
Yeah.
And as it's evolving. Early machine learning.
Yeah.
And so there's some pretty freaking cool things. We see generally between 30 and 50% improvement in accuracy there. And so that we added that on, and then we added reservations in. So you've basically got a platform now that brings in sales, labor, inventory. So your 3 core levers, pulls in your reviews, your reservations, and then predicts the future off the back of that. Yeah. So so that's from kind of a data source, if you want. We then let you visualize that on web, on mobile, iOS and Android, web. You can automate emails coming out of the back of it, so that you basically making it as easy as possible as you as a user.
No one likes it. The challenge you have is, as you said, no one really likes. Some people don't like logging to dashboard. If you've got the app, it's different. But some people just want the email. Yeah. They want the PDF so they can look at it at whatever they want, right?
So we do it with so basically exactly that. We try to make it as easy as possible, right? For you. You've got these GMs running around. They're not like sitting at a desk. No. They want the app, right? You've got people who are more senior who are want to get that email in the morning and be able to review everything in there in time. And then you've got the team in the office that wants to be able to put it up on a big screen. And so we let you visualize it and look at all that as you like. And what we've now done to that is let you orchestrate the data around the system. So i.e. what that means is we're pulling in sales data. We can help push that into your labor tool or your inventory tool if it doesn't have an integration directly with the POS. But what we can also do is push that forecast. So for example, we push our hourly forecast into Deputy or Plan Day or Rota Ready, or we push our forecast into Market Man. So now,
if they want to, if we trust in Tenzo, which is quite a nice little tagline, if we trust in Tenzo and it works, you're saying that if they see that trend is correct, you can just press a button and it will deploy your schedule for.
So it will deploy. It will just show you the sales
Yeah.
in Deputy Plan Day, Rota Ready, etc. You then like schedule your staff.
Yeah.
We then pull that plan data, and then we can tell you, you overstaffed on this day or understaffed on that day. Right?
Is it? Will it be, or can you eventually just go? Well, actually, let's to Tenzo Auto.
So
So it's literally like flick the box and then just my schedule will be done.
So I think that problem is there's a lot of that you need to know about the individuals that are working.
course.
Having scheduled a lot of teams in restaurants.
Yeah.
I could suspect it might schedule a team, and that two individuals don't work very well together, and actually that's going to be a disaster for shift, right? So I think there is this kind of, and so I don't.
Maybe template then.
But yeah, exactly. A template to 100%. I can get behind that. I think it's also the reason why we let the GM change the forecast before it's actually pushed through, because I think we really believe in the power of the AI plus the human to decide. Because if there's roadworks outside the front door, no AI is going to know.
Or if it's pouring with rain.
Or it's pouring.
But you do some stuff with weather as well.
There is an element of that we can factor in. But like the roadworks outside the front door, like a festival that's like just running for one day, those kind of things.
Why aren't you scraping this? London transport and buses delays and train delays. That's the next thing, right?
So some of that you can do, and I agree that. But I think there's always the N+1 thing that you're not going to get, right? And I think by getting the GM to really engage with that, you're getting the best answer, and the one that they trust also. Otherwise, they're just like, well, computer told me X, I didn't trust X, I did Y. No. Exactly, computer says no, and then you don't trust it, right? So we've added that, and then so you've got all this data coming in. You can visualize it. You can like orchestrate the data going to your different system, and now you could also really. So the thing we've been really working on is getting ops teams who are typically not super data savvy to really be able to like go and build and find the insights that they want. So we've built like this amazing tool called a card wizard, where you just basically select. I
saw a bit of that.
You saw a bit of that,
yeah,
right?
Go on, tell me.
But so the idea there is just to make it so easy for you to find the KPI you want. So you might not know. You don't want to get into the data of like saying, hey, I want the spend per guest. Okay, so I need to go and like find the sales, and then like the number of guests, and then divide one by the other, or like so here you could just say, I want sales, that what I'm looking for is and then it takes you through a flow step by step where you're just selecting, and then it says, would you like it displayed as for yesterday or for last week, or would you like,
and then
you
can just save that tab and off you go, and
boom, it generates it for you. You then add it to your dashboard. You can then automatically email that dashboard so your whole team knows about it. So it's about getting these ops teams to really be able to super easily get the data they want, so that then them as the ops director and their GMs like speak the same language, know what's going on. And then, by the way, the GM can then like fill in an end of day report based on all that to say, the reason why we didn't sell any chicken yesterday was this chicken supply didn't deliver, right? And so everyone is on the same page. There's just like more clarity and more just more certainty about what's happening and why it's happening, and
so the question, like for example, if a client's got like trail, for example, do you plug into that as well on actions? So if this is less, that happens there. Do you flow into like any automation stuff to help them to fix things?
No. So what we have the ability to do is to generate alerts based on the data, right?
Nice.
So you can set like thresholds, or you can set like conditions under which you'll get like a simple one might be like, hey, if I get a review under 4 stars, I want the GM to know so that they can do something about it. Or it could be like, if the cost of labor goes above X%, I want to be alerted. So you could do that. And the bit after that we want to do is like close this loop, right? It's just being like, hey, we told you that this action was done, that saved you X amount of money, just to really be able to get.
So on action, maybe they can. Are you going to do stuff like where they can have tasks to complete?
So I think that's still the trail, which is amazing, by the way. I think it's a great piece of kit. There are like actions for when you're setting things up, and that you've got the person who's setting up the front counter, and the person set up the kitchen and closing and all that. So all those actions, I think that does happen there. But actions specifically to the GM to say, hey, today is a great day to push X, or today is you're overstaffed.
And you sending push notifications as well as email. Okay, awesome. I'm going to go back a tiny bit because your team has grown. So it's, people, your lovely office. I've seen your office. It's beautiful, by the way. Very nice office. Last time I went, I literally walked past coders just sitting there with black screens and so on. The room that you're not allowed in.
Yeah. There's lots to do.
But interestingly enough, if you're okay to touch on it, the expansion, and obviously we talk about the rebrand, which was awesome, and the logo, which is now amazing. But if we can go back to talking about where the expansion happened, because it's sort of exploded, right? I mean, obviously you've grown anyway. You've got a great partner network. I will say Tenzo does great partner events now, which is awesome, bringing people together, which is really nice. And then you're very present, which is also really nice to see you at clients. There's not many tech companies that will go out to the client and then have a chat with them. Do you know what I mean? So, it's quite nice because you see your teams at them, keeping visibility. We were at a meeting recently where, we had a meeting roundtable and the team were there, and it was all really nice to chat with everyone. But I think that's nice. But talk to me about the expansion, because it wasn't always that big. I mean, it's quite, how big is the team now?
We're about 30 people.
Right. And then, so can we go back to the office that was near White City?
The one in White City, pre-pandemic.
Yeah, pre-pandemic. Yeah. And then talk to me about what happened how did that happen? Talk to me.
Yeah. So there's lots of interesting things you touched upon there. So pre-pandemic, we were in White City, which obviously...
I never got to that office. I just could not get there. I got near there, but then I got lost.
I mean, it was in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it was a great office. You never saw it, but I'll tell you, it was a great office. But it wasn't in the most convenient place. Now we're in Baker Street. It's
your office
a lot nicer. It's a very nice office.
Chalk and cheese.
Yeah, we're very happy with that. So we basically did a Series A with led by Amadeus and Spectrum 28, which basically really accelerated the growth of the business. And I think you touched on the partner network there, which I really think about that in two places. And I think that's really what supercharged the growth is. One is the integration partners. So, it's the Lightspeeds, the Toast, the Plan Days, the Market Mans, the Deputies of the world. And then you've got the consultants, right? Which I think is also such a fundamental piece to the puzzle here, because as a restaurateur, it's freaking hard to run a business. I mean, I did it for 10 years. It's freaking hard. You're like working on a billion things at the same time, and then the supplier's not delivering, and your dishwasher's broke down, and someone's not showing up, and there's
too much. There's a lot to do in a day.
There's a lot to do, right?
And especially as you scale.
Yeah, very much so. And you're then faced with, I need to buy a POS and a labor tool and an entry tool, and I need to X, Y, Z and add all these things in. And it's very hard for them. I think it's very hard to look. There's a lot of choice, which is great. I think there's lots of different flavors and that work that in different ways. But you still have to make a choice, and you need to consider all these things. And you don't have hours to go and say, let me go and research.
And there's so much now, right? Well. So even nowadays, from back then you had a couple. Now you've got 30 to choose from.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think these hospitality consultants are so important in the industry, because they help bridge that gap a little bit, right? Because they help the customer understand what are the options, but they also help the tech provider understand the intricacies of the business, because not every hospitality business is the same. And so I think it's really, so that's why we run these events, to really bring this network together, because I think it's so important. And I was happy you called out the round table you did with that customer.
Yeah.
I think one of our core values is being customer obsessed. Yeah. And we chose the word obsessed for a reason, because I, as a restaurateur, used a number of tools where the service was not always 100% there, right? And I wanted to put that on its head. I wanted to be this is a tight-knit industry. I wanted people to be able to rely on us. And that's why we've put people around the world also. So we provide 24/7 support. It's why
Can I use them?
Yeah, they're fantastic, by the way. But that's an important.
Well, you're different. To be fair, you are in lots of different regions too.
We are in different regions, but
that helps.
The reason we wanted that was basically because we wanted to give people in different regions 24/7 access, right? So it's kind of win-win on that front. But I think that, to me, is so important as a restaurateur. They don't have time to go and be is this? And if you look at our Trustpilot page, only 5-star reviews. I'm really proud of that, because that's something I want to make sure we delight our customers.
I've only just turned on mine, so I have two.
I'll go and post it.
Leave me a review. But what I will say, from going back in time, we had lots of conversations because you would call me and say, Adam, these guys there's no data being collected, or these guys haven't logged in, or the customer's not using it. Why is the customer not using it? What's going on? And this is back then. This is like when you were you're still very much everywhere, but this isn't your AM team. It was you calling me as a partner, going, Adam, they're onboarded, it's all done, it's all working, but they're not using it. Why aren't they using it? Who do we need to speak to? Let's get someone else involved, which I thought was, no one does that. Because lots of people just sign up to a platform, and off you go. I'm a bit like you. Customer service is always going to be 100%. If it's not 110%, I'm not happy. It's always about that. But you've taken that thought process from back then, and you've deployed it to your team, which is really important in tech and in hospitality. If you're not treating the customer the way you would want to be treated.
Especially, I think, now, because things are moving so quickly.
Yeah.
Right. But both from a hospitality piece, but also from generally like the tech industry as a whole, that there's a lot of innovation happening. And because of that, I think you have to stay nimble and you have to react to what's happening in the market very quickly.
But I think the mindset that you've set from up there to deploy down, to give you props is impressive. Mm-hmm. Because you're at scale now, right? So you have a lot of people. You've been able to keep that message throughout all your team, which I think's amazing. There aren't that many providers out there that care.
Yeah.
Not that they don't care, they do, but they're very busy. So we're in IT, right? So we do IT support and we do the Wi-Fi thing. And we speak to we've got loads of suppliers. We put the Office 365 and all that sort of stuff. Our providers that we buy from have 150 companies that they look after, and you might get a call once a year. But you guys are looking, you can see when someone's logged in, you can see when someone hasn't logged in. And as I mentioned, the roundtable thing we did, you guys, it was really nice because the team knows the different platforms, lots of different questions were being pointed to your team, and it was a great response to come back with, because you've got your T's into different platforms, right? So they're like, we think might change this. Oh, we work with them, but this does this and that does that. Yeah. And it's sort of a little bit of consultancy as well, I guess, right? So I think I give you props for that, because it is really nice to see. And you've created that process across the team. So I give you props. And also, listen, the visibility that you have in the shows as well, you're very present, which is nice. So you don't have the tiny little stand. I know it's investment, but you're there. And it might be even customers coming to you, your customers coming to you to talk to them. Rather than selling, you've actually got people coming talking to you. So I think what you've done with the process and meeting and everything else and the whole concept is awesome with that customer journey. And then rebrand.
Oh yeah.
Talk to me about the logo, because I heard a little bit. You have to tell me about the logo. Where was the original logo created, Christian?
Yep. The original logo, Adam and I thought. So we spent a lot of time thinking about the name first of all. And
I think
the
Sorry,
name,
I didn't touch that.
The name is the name Tenzo refers to the Buddhist monk in the monastery who prepares all the food. Oh. Okay, he's the chef in the monastery, and we loved that because we wanted to bring Zen to the restaurant industry, right? Things are crazy and busy, and we wanted to bring that Zen feel. So we loved the name, and it's short name and catchy. We were loving, and we were just bear in mind, neither Adam or I are designers. We're not very good, a very good eye for this. We're let's just go and on Fiverr and pay $5 for a logo. And so we had this amazing designer based in Pakistan build us this original logo, which I then have subsequently seen with other companies. I think I saw a glass manufacturer that had something that looked a bit similar, and
So that developer made a lot of money.
Yeah. But it's so we did that. That was our original thing, and then really what we realized over the first 4 years of building Tenzo is that we learned so much, and we got to a point where we're just we need to be communicating more effectively what we do, and we need to give this we've come a long way. We're more grown up. We now need to invest in this. It definitely is grown up. Yeah. It's like the bigger brother. Yeah, it definitely is a lot more. We work with this amazing design studio called DBS, Design by Structure.
Okay.
And John there is fantastic, and they give advice around like strategy also, but like design.
So they came in and did you talk about the message and everything else, right?
We did a lot of work with them,
Yeah.
and it was really fascinating because they really helped us to really think about like, you know, what's the messaging that you want to get, and how do you want to get. And so we did a lot of, and that's what came out to this much better logo. But I think we kept the fun side of we put it more in the brand by having the sprite, you know, this little
I love the
animated
sprite.
It's
I
so
want
good
one
because it's so good because you can make it hold different things, right? So, you know, there's one like our card wizard now that's like got a wizard hat, for example. You know, like there's lots of fun things you can do with it. So yeah, we love where we've got to on that.
Yeah,
It's really
I do like that. Just that little sprite, just I don't know, makes me smile. So the agency did a great job for you, to be fair. And then you've obviously got the team behind it, right? That are pushing it through. So you've got the marketing team. What's your marketing?
Lizzie, who's
She's
fantastic.
awesome.
So Lizzie, India, Hannah, who've really like helped, you know, do that. I mean, they've done an incredible.
Yeah, it's like talking. It's like a different.
Yeah.
It's like the bigger brother.
Yeah,
I have to say,
sure.
but that's awesome. I mean, coming from there to there.
Yeah.
So, what were you like when they said we're changing the logo? You were like, were you like, oh, were you like,
we were like, yeah, that looks freaking awesome.
amazing?
You know, that whole journey of like going through it, there were some things where we were like, oh, that's, you know, you know, we toyed with a lot of ideas. And I was worried at one point and said, oh, maybe we need to change the name. And that I think I would have had like I would have been like, oh, really? But when they were like, no, the name's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But the logo can work. I was like, yeah.
So you sort of did that, really. You did that, and pat on the back. You were like,
well
oh,
done.
thanks so much. That was my idea. Yeah. So no Buddha. But okay, so that's really interesting to hear, and thank you for going back. Just going to touch now on the future. Can you share anything that's coming, or is there any little bits and bobs that people can listen to and hear? Like, can you share stuff?
Yeah.
Have you been unlocked and?
We've been busy. There's lots coming, right? So really, we like been working on this card wizard, which I really think when people see it, they're just like the simplicity of it. So we want to do more in that direction. We've got in the most immediate future some smarter alerts coming. So being able to like set those on our reports. There's a lot that there's a lot of the stuff, the infrastructure stuff that's coming, you know, like they're making sure that we're able to like run things faster. Like we work with a lot larger customers. So we've got some customers that have got, 150, 200 locations, and they like their requirements in terms of data means that you need to be able to do things like a lot faster.
Where does priority go? Because obviously in the US as well, right? So in the US, you might get 100 is large here, 1,000 is large over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's just like crazy.
It's crazy. We're doing this awesome piece of work with this hotel brand so we focused all on the F&B operation of that. Mm-hmm. In the first quarter of this year, we added over £1 million of EBITDA on their F&B.
Wow.
Just in that one quarter, over like about 50 restaurants. So like freaking massive impact. And they're now rolling us out into Europe and to the rest of the world, which, yeah, as you say, that's like thousands of locations ultimately, which is so there's a lot there that's going on.
How do you prioritize that then? Like, because if someone comes to you and they've got X, and then because these are the challenges now, right? You've got like 1,000 locations.
Yep.
Can you do this?
Yeah, and a lot of what we're doing is building tools to allow us to scale that. Right. And so, for example, the card wizard, the reason that came in is because we had a lot of requests, and so a lot of them were exactly the same. So we're like,
yeah, okay, I guess the similar requests get grouped and
exactly. So we're making it easier to do that. There's a lot of obviously. So we're really championing the message in the industry around open APIs. I think. I was at this event that Jane O'Riordan, who's the chairwoman of Caravan and Flight Club and used to be strategy director at Nando's, she organized this Hospitality Innovation Council at Oxford, where she had like hundreds.
I saw some images of that. Yeah.
It was amazing.
Lots of tech partners there.
Amazing. And so she got.
Did she make everyone get their hands up? Please, everyone who's got an open API, stand up.
Yes, well, that was. We had a long discussion, and not instigated by us, but like a lot of. So they had lots of hospitality.
Yeah.
Not the tech, the actually restaurateurs in there, and all of them were saying, The problem with restaurant tech at the moment is things are changing quickly, and sometimes some providers overpromise and underdeliver. But really,
lots of providers.
there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that, which is, I really, really stay away from that, because I think that's, I know it's very tempting often, but I think it just gets you to a wrong place. But they were saying, we need an open standard on data, so that so that we can move between systems, so that we're able to also build on these. And that's what we're very much championing. Is the future to me is really around getting the whole industry to be championing open APIs.
Benefit for you is it more open stuff, the more you can pull in.
Yeah.
But I have to touch on one thing though. So one thing I will say, and you have been mentioned a few times in the last few podcasts. The one thing I will say is I find very interesting is if someone's got 3, 4 different brands, and they've got Aloha, Lightspeed, Toast, whatever. You can have one Tenzo dashboard as such, right? To pull all of that data in.
Correct.
And I think that's one thing that other people don't realize or think about. And also the other. Sorry to other POS providers, but if a customer comes to us and says, I want this, I want to move to here, and then, I've got to keep the server up and running for 7 years because I've got all the data. My first thing is speak to these guys, because you can suck the data out, like sales, all done, and so on. They probably still need to keep some data going for finance. So I will say that one nice piece I like is you are open. So it doesn't matter what you're on, what you've got, where you are, who you've got, whatever platform you have, plumb it in, and then see it in one nice dashboard. Totally.
I think that the other flavor of that is a lot of our customers operate in different geographies.
Yes.
And so then you've got this whole idea of multi-currency. So we're able to pull in, your sales in the UK, your sales in the US, convert the US sales to pounds, and then report it all into one place where you can see.
But because as you said as well, the other thing as well, different regions, different POS, everything's different, right? Yeah. Some people won't roll out in different areas. So then, really interesting.
So there are some customers, you're right, where they're like, oh, well, I'm opening in China, and the POS is like, well, we don't have a presence in China. So then that's where you want to be able to have 2 different POSes. Yeah, 100%. And then you bring it all into one. And that effort of normalizing that data, we've actually got a really good blog that Luca, head of engineering, wrote about that, where normalizing the data from the different POSes so that you can all see it one next to the other and it all looks the same. And if you're transitioning from one to the other, it all looks the same. There's a lot of effort that goes in. That's not an easy thing to do. And we do a lot of that.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. My brain's going about firing off at other things. Okay, awesome. So we're coming to the end, which is amazing. I appreciate you. Thank you. And it's really interesting to hear everything that's going on. So last questions we have are... best burger.
Has to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which one though? Is it their smash or is it?
You know what? We go to the one on Baker Street, and they do one per location, right? They have maybe it was a guest one.
Yeah, they do guest ones, mate. Yeah.
But I know they do the guest ones, but I was sure that was one that was the Baker Street. I mean, we had that last time I was there. It was very nice.
I will say the boys here quite like this. They've got a nice deal on the smash burger and chips. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. Honest Burgers, great. Point 1. Best restaurant. Obviously, you've got to be careful because you have clients, but for you, where you've been.
Paloma.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Paloma, to me, is
best restaurant and best experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
That one is.
I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
Best hotel.
So there's this hotel in Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
It's called 7132. In Vals in Switzerland. It is the most epic. So it's up in the mountains, and they have this outdoor swimming pool that is heated. And so we went there in the winter, and you had the mountains that are covered in snow, and you're just sitting in this swimming pool, heated. It is just the most relaxing, and the restaurant, the hotel, everything was just incrable about this
experience.
Place. Yeah, I was loved it.
Okay, so we have come to the end. I have a tea. I just want to give you a quick one of these. So thank you so much. You get a round of applause for you and the product.
Thanks for having me.
We now have 2 questions for the next guest. You don't have to do Noren's themes, but the previous themes were one person, one business, but the next person could be tech, could be marketing, could be operations, could be anything. So 2 questions for the next guest.
I'll do one a little bit like Laura says, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Okay.
When you were young, like when you were,
Yeah.
as a child. And then the other one, I'll say, who do you think is the most thought-provoking person in the hospitality industry?
Ooh, that's good. I like that. Amazing. Okay, so give a little wave to everyone that's watching.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. We mixed around the diaries a bit. We got there at the end. He arrived like before my office even opened. So it's like knock on the door. Are
let
you
me
here? So yeah, I'll give another round of applause. So thank you. Thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Thanks.